Hey, what is going on Facebook and YouTube? I know I sound crazy, right? YouTube. Let me start that. How y'all guys doing tonight? Welcome to Let's Face It Live show with your coach, Shakima S. Perry. So I hope y'all ready tonight because we got a great show. I'm super duper excited. I got an excellent, wonderful, magnificent, intelligent guest coming on tonight, success coach Erica Blocker. So I'm super excited. So what we're going to do right now, when you guys jump on, please share this live video. Please do that for me. Share this. I want other people to be blessed because the things we're going to talk about tonight is going to change your life. So go ahead and share this live broadcast. And I want to give you a little bit about the show, the purpose. The purpose is important, right? Why am I coming on here involving y'all, right? So you want to know, right? You're like, why is Shakima always coming up on this show and bothering us? She always bothering us, right? That's how y'all feel. I know. Some of y'all do anyway. But anyway, the purpose of this show is to bring up topics, to bring up issues, to bring up different scenarios, different things that you might have thought about. And you just never really even like said, to yourself, like, well, I thought about it, but I just never had a resolution. So this is a show that gives you resolutions, give you things that you need to know to build your life, to make your life better. Okay? That's what this show does. I want you to take away something with you from any show that comes on. And I want you to take that with you and implement that in your life. Bring that to your life so it can make a change. It could change your life. It could change your mindset. It could change you forever. That is the reason. That is the purpose. I know I went deep tonight, but I had to tell you, that is what my assignment, that is what I'm about. That is what Let's Face It about. Let's Face It is about, okay? Because we got to stop putting things under the rug. That's what we do. We don't want to face nothing. If something go wrong, we don't want to face it. This is happening. I don't want to face it. Face it. You know why? By facing it, you can help the problem. You can get rid of the problem. But if you don't face it, what happens? The problem's still there. It's nagging at you, nagging at you, nagging at you. So that is the purpose of the show. That's why it's Let's Face It. We're going to face it. We're going to resolve it. And we're going to live better. Okay? I went deep, but that's what I got to do. That's what I got to do. So let's go ahead and jump into the topic. So the topic tonight, let me see here. I think I have it here. I did put it up. The topic tonight, let me show. Okay. Yes. So this is season 2, episode 27. Topic is how podcasting changed my life. Okay. So that's tonight's topic. Okay. So we have a special guest that's going to talk about that tonight. So what I'm going to talk about first, before we go into the podcasting part. So we're going to talk about the word change. So how does negative change affect us, right? How does negative change affect us? So one I came up with is it can alter your purpose or our purpose, right? Because when negative things happen, right, in our lives, it pushes us back than us pushing forward into what we're supposed to do, right? Let's talk about purpose, because purpose is important. Purpose is the reason why you're alive. So what happens is with negative change, it alters. It can alter. I'm not going to say it is going to. It can alter if we allow it to alter our purpose. The reason why we are here, the reason why we are alive, it can alter. So negative change, it could be anything. It could be a loss of a loved one. It could be your kids acting crazy. They're not doing what they got to do. So that can actually affect or can alter your purpose, right? Your purpose. Another thing about negative change that can affect us is it can stop our growth. So what happens is if we are in a negative place, right? What happens? Sometimes we shut down. We don't want to hear anything. So we have a negative mindset or a negative situation. It stops us from hearing what we need to hear so we can grow. Even this show, if your mindset is negative, right? You're not going to receive anything I say. You're not going to receive anything my guests say, because why? You are in a negative place and you don't want to accept what? Change. So what happens is you have to, I'm not going to I always get into resolutions. You see, I'm a resolution junkie. Let me say I'm not no junkie. The devil's a lie. But anyway, I know I just go into a resolution, but it can stop your growth. Another one, it could change your perception, our perception. So it could change your perception about things. So if you have dealt with negative things in your life, negative change in your life, because it could be anything. It could be going from, having both of your parents to losing both of your parents, right? That's a negative change, right? That could change your perception on how you look at things, how you view things in life. You may hate everybody because you didn't have parents, or you lost a loved one. You lost, you know what I'm saying? So that can change your perception. So negative change can change your perception. Another one, it can allow us to lose our voice. It can allow us to lose our voice. So what happens if you lose your voice? You can't express yourself. You're not able to really be yourself. Negative change can change the way you voice yourself. You could be in a domestic violence relationship, and because of the negative change that took place, you're no longer talking. You're no longer expressing yourself no more. So you can lose your voice, right? It could change your children. So when you deal with negative change, you deal with a bad situation, your children can be affected, right? And also, the last one I have, it can ultimately damage your life forever if you allow it, right? So negative change is not a good change. It's positive change, but we're going to talk about negative because we're going to get into some positive change when I get my guests to come up. We're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about things. We're going to talk about struggles that my guest went through, and then how she overcame it, and how podcasting impacted her. So we're going to get into that. But I wanted to talk about the negative portion of change, but we're going to talk about positive change very shortly. So what you guys can do, just hold on. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, I'm going to bring up my guest, success coach, Erica Blocker. She's going to talk about how podcasting changed her life. All right. So check out this commercial and we'll be right back. Purpose to Promise Academy, where lives are changed and dreams come true. Learn how to write and publish your book. Learn how to fix and manage your credit, so you can finally get the home of your dreams. Visit us at purposetopromise.com. All right. So we are getting ready to bring up success coach Erica Blocker. She's going to share with some great things. She's going to share some failures, triumphs. We're going to go up and down and up and down. Let me stop. No, I'm playing. But we're about to bring her up. If you guys ready, type ready in the comments. I'm about to bring her up right now. Hold on. She's coming. All right. Thank you, Coach Erica Blocker, for joining us tonight. We're super excited that you decided to join. Can you please introduce yourself to the audience for people that don't know you?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Shakima. I am super excited to be here with all of you today. Well, tonight, I guess it is. If you're watching the replay, it might be daytime. I'm excited to be here. Thank you. Let's see. What can I say about myself? Well, as Shakima mentioned, I am a success coach. And you might be wondering what that means. Like, you might have heard of life coaches, business coaches, personal coaches, whatever the case. But I call myself a success coach because I help women achieve success, whatever that looks like in their lives. And specifically working with moms, I know that it's difficult sometimes for us to separate ourselves and our dreams and our desires and our goals from our families and our children and all the responsibilities that we have on our plate. So my thing is helping women define success on their own terms and then painting that picture and then creating that reality. And I started doing this so I went through a really bad divorce back in 2011. And then right after that, I decided, you know what? Now, why not go back to school and get that master's degree, Erica, that you've been wanting for years and never got a chance to do? So while I was in graduate school, I was working full time, I was working part time, and going to graduate school and taking care of my four children and like trying to transition back into what some type of form of normalcy. Like everything, my life was in a shambles, I would say. I'm smiling about it now because I can think back and I can smile now, but when I was going through it, it wasn't fun at all. And so while I was in graduate school studying to be like I wanted to do psychology, I discovered coaching. And I discovered that because I was going through therapy myself, trying to put my life back together, trying to heal from the pain of the divorce and the things that I experienced. And I thought, going into graduate school that I wanted to be a therapist. But as I went through my own therapy and felt like, okay, I got to a point where literally I walked into my therapist's office one day and I was like, okay, I'm ready for what's next? Like, when are we meeting next week? And she basically told me that she was done. Like, I was better. There was nothing else she could do. She couldn't help me any further. We had gone through the process of me healing and everything like that. And I was like, okay, but now I feel better. I'm ready to like move forward with my life. I want to accomplish things that I've been, holding back or put to the side because of the kids or whatever. And she was like, there's nothing I can do. Like, I can't help you. And I just felt like, are you serious? Like, I'm paying you all this money and you're telling me that I'm better and to basically go be whatever, go be great. And and that's when I discovered life coaching. And I learned that the process of coaching is helping a person go from point A to point B, helping them, guiding them along the journey of taking those steps and figuring out what's next and all of that stuff. So while I was earning my master's degree in psychology, I went and got certified as a life coach and started working with moms because that's what I had known for my entire life, being a mother, my entire adult life, I should say. Being a mother, being a wife, taking care of children, juggling multiple things. And I started working with moms. I started out really the way I started, Shakima, was with a meetup group that I started called Moms with Dreams. And it was literally just a group of moms that found the group on meetup.com. And we would meet once a month and talk about issues. Sometimes we'd go out to eat, sometimes we'd go to movies, and really just discussing the challenges that we were facing as mothers. And I was coaching them, not really knowing that I was coaching them, but helping them through situations and things like that. And so that's how I became a success coach. I didn't want to label myself as just life coaching because I also help women start businesses. I was doing that before too. And I just feel like success coach is a better description of me because I'm all about following your dreams, creating the success that you want in your life, and not feeling like there's anything that you can't accomplish.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Erica. Well, coach, success coach, Erica. So
You
we
can call
gonna
me
jump
just Erica.
I just like, I like to, not saying that I'm about titles, but people know who you are. So so this whole thing, the show, let me bring up the title again. So the show is about how podcasting changed your life. So I want to talk about podcasting. So why podcasting? How did you get started in podcasting? Like, how did that come about?
So I started podcasting back in 2015. I had hosted an online radio show for 1 year, and that show was called Empower Me Radio. And Me was an acronym for Moms Everywhere. So my show was basically about me creating a platform where I could showcase moms or women who were following their dreams, and also in the process encouraging other women who were listening to also go after and do the same thing. So after 1 year of hosting a live radio show, I realized that I didn't really like the process of showing up live. Like, I felt like it was too much pressure with my crazy schedule and the kids having to go here and do this, and it was just a lot. So I figured that if I did a podcast, I'd have more flexibility, more freedom to be creative, to show up when I needed to and didn't have to show up if I didn't feel like it. Because you can record your episodes, you don't have to be live, and you can air them at a later time. So that was really the impetus behind me going into podcasting. I wanted to still have a platform to showcase women and to inspire women, but I just didn't want to be live. And all I knew at the time was podcasting. So I jumped into it head first. I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it by myself because I had been thinking about it for a while. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do a podcast. But every time I thought about it, the thought, like all of the moving parts and everything that I thought was going to be big and scary, just it literally scared me and stopped me in my tracks. And so I wasn't able to do it like with on my own volition. I needed someone to help me. So I hired a podcast coach, and his whole program was all about launching your show within 30 days, and that's exactly what I did. So 4 weeks after I signed the contract, started working with him, I launched the Moms with Dreams show in May of 2015, and it's been going ever since.
All right, all right. Well, let me thank you so much for that. Let me
You're
see
welcome.
here. Okay, so Diddy said, "Hi, ladies. Erica is awesome." So we got
Aw,
the
thank
fans
you.
here. So I'm gonna get into the next question here. So, what were some of the difficult challenges you had in getting it off the ground, the podcast? What's some difficult things that you went through?
Oh man, there were so many. Let me think. Let me try to keep it brief because I know we don't have all night. But oh my gosh, Shakima, in the beginning, so I told you that I hired a podcast coach to help me launch the podcast. And that was, that was great because I had someone working with me. But then after that, I was on my own.
Right.
And coming from a radio show where you have a producer, and I had a coach, kind of like someone there, like managing everything behind the scenes for me, and then going from that to having a team to being a one-woman show was a huge transition, something I did not account for, was not prepared for. So some of the challenges that I faced early on were that I was not prepared for the workload that was required to run up to record a podcast, to edit the episodes, to produce them, to promote them, all that stuff. I didn't account for any of that time. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I was just like, oh yeah, I can do a podcast. Didn't think about how busy I already was and where I was going to squeeze in time to do all this. So that was challenge number one.
Mhm.
Challenge number two, to my surprise, was that I got an overwhelming response from women who wanted to be on my show as a guest. And so I had no system set up to manage these guests or the interview process. I was just winging it every day. I was just like, okay, well, let me see if I can swing this person, or going back and forth with the person, like, what about Tuesday at 7, or how does Wednesday at 8 look? And it was just so so unorganized, so
I can
unorganized.
definitely relate to that.
You're right. But other than that, like other than the time management and not having a system in place, it was really, I had a big learning gap too with the technology because I'm the first to admit that I'm not a tech person. Like, I'll write all day, but if you give me tech stuff, we're going to have an issue. I'm better now. I'm better now because I've learned a lot. But in the
Mhm.
beginning, I was struggling with like learning how to edit my own shows and all the tech stuff that goes into podcasting and the audio, trying to get everything just right. Like if you were to go back and listen to my first, I'd say first 5 or 6, maybe 10 episodes, to be honest, you'd hear the sound quality was not good because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just out there. I was just doing it. I was like, I don't care. I'm doing this show. And so that, those are my big challenges in the beginning. Luckily didn't have any issues with like the show being a hit because everyone loved it. And I think I went to like number 3 in iTunes in my category in the first week or so. It was iTunes at the time, y'all. Now it's Apple Podcasts, but back then it was iTunes. And so the success of the show was great, but like behind the scenes is where my struggle was.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I know how that could be. Is like, when you're doing it, it looks all glitz and glam to people, and then honestly, you're like, oh my god, I'm losing it. But because I know sometimes even me doing this show, I have moments before I go on this show, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Yep.
But as soon as I get on there, like, oh, here you go. Here we go. Get on the show, you know what I'm saying? So it sometimes can be challenging. I got you. I got you. So thank you so much for that. And the next question I have for you, how did you overcome these challenges? So can you go like step by step on how you overcame each challenge?
Sure. So the time management piece, once I caught some air to breathe, I decided that I needed to look at my schedule
Mhm.
and carve out I think it was like 5 to 10 hours in the beginning because I was doing everything by myself. And just really looking at my schedule to figure out when I had time for podcasting and what that looked like. So I then created a system where instead of me just going back and forth with a potential guest, like, are you available this day or this time? I started using a scheduler, an online scheduler system. So I would give my guests the link to my online calendar, and they would go and choose a day and day and time. I'd already have my calendar blocked off just specifically for recording interviews. So they would get the link, go there, fill out the form. I created an intake form so that I wasn't having to go back and forth like, can you send me your bio, or can you write this, or send me your picture, stuff like that. All that was collected when they signed up to be interviewed. So that made it so much easier for me and way less stressful. So that was the system part of it. And then I decided later on, I decided to hire a podcast editor who I've been working with for several years now, John Buchanan from Audio Editing Solutions. I love him. He is the absolute best. He literally saved my life as far as editing because I was overwhelmed with just too much to do. So I would suggest that if you're thinking about starting a podcast, to consider it's okay to do it. If you start off as a one-woman show or a one-man show in the beginning, that's great. But as you begin to scale and you start to do other things, I would highly recommend outsourcing some of the things that are time-consuming and that you don't enjoy doing. So I didn't enjoy editing podcasts because you have to go back and listen to the episode and critique it and take this and that out, and the tech that it's involved with the software. It wasn't hard. Like, once you learn it, you can do it. But to me, it was just a waste of my time. That wasn't where I wanted to spend my time. And so I outsourced that, and that was a lifesaver. I can tell you that there was a point in time before I hired John that I was considering canceling my show because I was just overwhelmed. It was just too much. So outsourcing that task really got me back on track, allowed me to focus on finding great guests and having good conversations and creating good content, all the things that I enjoyed about podcasting. Those were some of the things that I did to overcome the challenge. And then, so those are my main things. I think the tech part was eliminated when I outsourced. The scheduling was eliminated when I used the online scheduler, and the system that I created around finding guests was managed through that online scheduler as well.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for that, because I know a lot of times people, of course, everybody doesn't have a podcast, so it's good for me myself because I would definitely love to do podcasting, and also just having that, resolution helps you to even streamline even more. I know I've been on the podcast once. I was a guest on a podcast I think actually in February, but the podcast is not coming out until August, which is great because it's recorded. But the person sent me this whole thing I had to fill out. I was like, what in the world? I was like, Jesus. I mean, everything. Put your body, put that. I was like, look, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm so like, no. But it does make it easier for the host that they have everything. They can create the questions, because this podcast was, I think the person asked me like 15 questions. I was like, I only asked like 5 or 6 or something like that. 15 questions. I was like, oh my God. So I understand why they needed all that. So, it goes by, people may think, oh, I can just go and do a podcast, because you did a podcast, you got it launched, but you saw the hiccups in it. So it's not an easy thing, but when you have systems set in place, you'll be able to be successful in what you're doing. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome. Can I just add one more thing to that,
Sure.
though? Mm-hmm. In addition to having the systems and creating the structure around my show, I really had to, like, in those moments when I shared that I was on really on the verge of quitting and shutting the podcast down, I had to go back to my why. Like, why did I start the show in the first place? Because it wasn't, and that was really why I couldn't give it up, to be honest with you. To be totally transparent, it was really my listeners and the women who I knew I was serving and helping and inspiring and encouraging through the podcast. They were the reason why I didn't quit, because I would get emails, or I'd get comments, or people would reach out to me whatever way they could to contact me to let me know that, this episode was exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that. And that was really what kept me going, and realizing and remembering that I didn't start the show for me. Like, it wasn't for me. It was for me to help the women who I could serve with sharing my experiences, my knowledge, whatever it is. Like what it wasn't about me. So when I went back to that, I was like, Eric, you got to get it together. You got to figure this thing out because you can't quit. You can't let these people down. Like there are people who need you, and they don't even know. Like they're struggling right now. So like you have to show up, and that's. I just wanted to share that because sometimes, we start things and it's not always easy, and you are going to struggle, and there are going to be challenges. But if you have a strong commitment and your why is like, if you are really connected to that why and you know what you're doing, what your purpose is, then you won't let those things, those hiccups, those challenges stop you or get in the way of you walking in your purpose.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so important. And a lot of it, like you said, is about impact. You impact a lot of women. They was reaching out to you, you saw the impact, and that's important. And then you did the show not only for yourself, you did it for others. So a lot of times, guys, whoever's watching or watching the replay, don't ever give up on your call, your purpose because of a situation or a setback or just something that just need to be tweaked. A lot of times I say this all the time, and I said this actually in my book, that it's not about quitting, it's about tweaking. So a lot of times people quit because they feel like, well, I don't have a resolution. Just tweak it. Go back to the basics. Go back to say, okay, let me go ahead and pull this back and see what I can do to tweak this out. So now this time it will work. And another thing that Coach Shalina, she was telling me, like, when I first actually became full time in business, she was like, you're like a mad scientist. When you are in business for yourself, you're a mad scientist. You in your lab, you're creating, you're trying to see what works, what not, what to throw away, what to keep, what you're going through this process. So a lot of times it's not about quitting, it's about tweaking, it's about adjusting or even revamping or even relaunching. Like it's like you gotta always be in a mindset of shifting, and that's one thing about me. I'm a type of person. I would get knocked down, man. I'll go through something. I'll be like, oh, that hurt, and then next minute I'll be back in it. Like,
Yeah,
I look like I'm crazy. I know some people like Josie Keene just be going and going like the Energizer Bunny, but I do that because it's not about me. And like you
yeah,
said, it's about impact. It's about changing people's lives. So when you know it's not about you, you get back in the game.
absolutely.
You're not gonna let people just oh yeah, because this one, even if someone came in negative or if someone said this about the show or whatever the case may be, it's not about them, it's about the people that are being impacted by your show. So that is definitely good for people to hear that. Thank you so much.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
so Diddy said great advice. She says she quit every other day. Don't quit. Listen, let me tell you this real quick, and I'm gonna get into the next question. Quitting means, I'm gonna tell you what quitting means. Quitting means I'm completely not doing it. Taking a break means I just take a break. So you have to know the difference. Okay, taking a break is saying, I'm taking a week off. That's a break. Now you're quitting. That means I'm never touching this thing again. I'm never doing this thing again. You won't do it for 10 months, a month, 3 months, 4 months. That's quitting. That's more so quitting and then picking it back up. So you're like, hey, I need a break. Sometimes it's okay to take a break. But you got to know the difference that you say, I'm not quitting, but I'm taking a break. Let me pull back, let me refresh, and come back and kill it. That's what you do. That's what you do. You
Absolutely.
come back like a lioness, like, wow, I got you. You got to do that, Jane. Let me stop.
I do that all the time. I used to beat myself up about taking breaks too, because I used to feel like, well, why is it that you always want to stop and everyone else is keep going and they're more successful than you because they don't stop. But now I realize that that's just my rhythm. And Dee Dee, that might be your rhythm too. Like Shakima said, it's not about quitting, it's about just taking breaks. And there's nothing wrong with taking breaks because I found that whenever I take a break, I come back more energized, more focused. I have my creativity is at a higher level. I don't feel burned out. I don't feel exhausted about it, like about from doing the work, and I'm excited again. So I've learned that there's nothing wrong with taking breaks, and you can still be consistent with taking breaks.
Yeah, you can still be consistent and then also systematically fix up things like like you said, outsourcing. Like with me, I have someone doing like I used to create content for my group. I don't do that no more. I hired somebody to do that. I don't got time for that. I'm just being honest. So, if you're going to take a break, maybe outsource someone else that can do certain things for you so you can take that break. Or set
Yep.
up something that it could automatically post or automatically do something that you can take that break, because you always want to keep yourself out there as well. Always want to keep yourself out there, but not doing anything in your break, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes total
I'm
sense because that's my
setting
life.
that up. You set it up so your face is always showing. Like, how come she always showing all over the place? Because I'm taking a break and I set up everything. But
Yep.
so let me get into the next question here. Thank you so much for all of your great information. I know people, the audience is loving it right
You're
now.
welcome.
So we got here. So okay. So I think you kind of explained this already, but if you want to go into more detail, so I see you are a success coach. So you did explain what a success coach is. How did that come about, and would you say your experience prepared you for coaching now?
Absolutely. So it came about through the like as I said earlier through the when I learned that my therapist couldn't help me anymore. I was like, there has to be someone who can help me move forward in my life. Like you can't just leave me hanging. And when I realized when I realized it wasn't her, I went on a search for something else, and that's when I discovered coaching. And it's funny because I didn't hire a coach at that time. I did hire coaches later on, but when I discovered coaching, I said, you know what? This is what I should have been doing all along. Like, I love to encourage people. I love to see people, like, I love to find the potential in people and find the, I love to see what people can't see, like the blind spots. I love helping people to see the blind spots within themselves. And what I mean by that is that potential, or helping them to really understand that they have the gifts and talents and whatever they want to create the life that they want to live. Although sometimes it feels like you're at a disadvantage. Like maybe sometimes it feels like you don't have what someone else has, and you're looking at other people and thinking, well, they have more money, or they went to school, or they have a husband, they're not a single mom. Like that was my thing. Like I had a lot of things that I was holding on to, a lot of lies that I had believed as the truth. And so I
Mhm.
like helping people understand that even though your life may not look like someone else's, you can still be successful. And that has to mean something different for you than it does for someone else. And it's okay if what your definition of success is different from mine, because that's what it should be, right? We're not all going to have the same values and definitions. But so that's, and I learned, like thinking back, I remember that people were always coming to me asking me to help them do things, and I was just like, I think I've been coaching for a while and didn't even know what it
Mhm.
was.
Right,
And
right.
then it wasn't until my divorce, when I had to like figure out my next steps, that I discovered, well, you know what, even if a woman hasn't been divorced, I'm sure that she can relate to the struggles of losing your identity as a mother, putting your dreams on the shelf because you feel like it's being selfish, putting off the things you want to do because you're so busy and you can't find the time to even like take care of yourself properly, like all of those things. And so when I realized it wasn't just me struggling with those issues, and that I could help other women with that, that's when I decided that success coaching was for me. And I started off doing life coaching, but I did some business coaching. Now I do podcast coaching. I help women write books. I do a lot of things, and ultimately what I'm helping them do is achieve success. So that's why,
Success.
hence
Yep.
the title,
Right.
success
So I
coach.
mean, the thing is different levels of success. I just
Mhm.
believe success is progression. That's what success is. It's not about titles or I'm this, I'm that. It's progression. It's just you're just being successful in different areas. I was successful, like for example, you bought a house, right? I was successful in purchasing a house. I was successful getting a new job, getting a new career path. I was success. It's just milestones that you're creating.
Mhm.
And I feel like people perception of success is twisted. They look at it like, oh, you got to be this big star, or you got to be this, you got to be that. Just like you could post something on Facebook and you get 2 likes, and this another person that they perceive as successful post the same post and they get a
Mhm.
100 million likes. It's not it's the same message. It is coming from someone different, but there is the perception of success. If you look at success as someone that's progressing in life, that's just doing their thing, then you're gonna look at them differently. But if you look at success like you gotta be a millionaire, a billionaire to be successful, then you're gonna see things differently. So that's why I don't look at success like that. Like everybody has successful things that's happening in their life and successful areas and successful milestones in their life. So I look at you as successful, Erica. You already successful. So it's not about um, how people perceive it. They perceive it wrong. That's not success. Success is progression. Is when you're growing. That's success because
Yep.
you can always be in a greater place later. You can always, you know, grow in your mind. So it's just like I just look at success like that. So it's a perception of success. I just wanted to share that. You know, I'm
Yeah,
talking.
I agree. And I think that part of some of the reasons why people don't achieve success, whatever however they define it, is that sometimes we lack the commitment to the thing that we want,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't hold ourselves accountable. Like, it's so easy to let yourself off the hook if you don't feel like doing something. Oh, well, I'm not doing that tonight, although you need to get up and write that paper, or you need to know you need to write that whatever it is, or answer that question, or whatever the case is, to move you forward in your progression to success, whatever that looks like. Sometimes we're just not committed, and we don't have, like, we want to do it, but the human nature side of us is just like,
Yeah.
I'll put it off. I'll procrastinate a little bit longer. And so that's why having a coach, I believe, is powerful,
Right.
and it can take you from where you are to where you want to be, and definitely help you grow. Go through those hard parts of the growth that don't feel good. Because sometimes, like, it's easy to quit when it's hard, right?
Right.
And one of my dad's favorite lines, and I just made a t-shirt. I can't wait for the t-shirt to get here, because this is what got me through graduate school, and I hope this helps someone. I'm sure you may have heard it before, but I always hold on to this, is that if it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
I agree.
So it's not supposed to be easy, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, and then you wouldn't be great, right? It would just be commonplace. We'd be average. But since we strive to be better than average, and we strive to be great and successful and all those things, we have to recognize that, like the successful people say, it's lonely at the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much room at the top, because most people aren't willing to put in the work. Most people aren't willing to make the sacrifices. Most people aren't willing to do the hard part to get to that success. And so
Right.
that's why having a coach, someone there to hold you accountable, to lead the way, to help you avoid some of those cliffs that you could fall off of not knowing, and shorten the learning curve, makes it more of a enjoyable journey, I think.
Yes, absolutely. I agree because like I haven't had a coach until Coach Shalina, and I know that changed my life tremendously. Like I was already confident in certain things I was doing, but just having her around and then she's showing me different things in the coaching industry and the business industry, it really changed me. Like wow, like okay, it gave me more confidence. I had confidence, but it was like, all right, another level. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes God will place other people in your life to show you it's another level, and then He also shows that area because He's trying to say you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
You ain't got all the bells and whistles. You know what I'm saying? Don't be acting like you got all together. You don't. Obviously, because you need a coach. That's definitely important. So thank you so much for sharing that. And also, just like you said, I think you said your dad. You said your dad or
Mm-hmm.
something. So
Yep, my
like my
dad.
dad. So my dad, what I could say, he's a businessman, and what my dad always showed growing up was endurance, perseverance. Like it was stuff that happened like in our lives in a sense. It was times that we lost our house. We got kicked out of our house. My dad literally went all the way to Paris to close a deal to make sure we get our house back. Like he was just a type of person that he was like, no, my family is first. We
Mm-hmm.
gonna be all right. You don't worry about. I'm coming. You ain't gonna be long.
Mm-hmm.
So he taught perseverance, and that's what I get my business savvy from, that quality. Like I tell my dad like I'm like his first name is Freeman, so I like I'm Freeman Junior. Okay, I'm Junior. Like I'm the son you never had, but I'm a girl. Let me stop. But but that's what it is. It's like when you have people in your life to impact you and give you those nuggets because that's important. That's going to help you to persevere. Like you said, people don't want to do the work, and it's work involved. That's what this show is. This show, Let's Face It, is about facing it and showing that it's work on your part to get to that resolution. So it's not, oh, I faced it and that's it. No, you facing it so you can get a resolution. So that's really, really super important. Thank you so much. Thank you,
You're welcome.
success coach.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so I have Kimberly. She called me Shalina. That's all right. Hey Shalina, thank you. My name is Shalina now. And Erica, sorry I'm late. I will listen to the replay, ladies. No problem. And she said Shakina. Thank you. Fixed it. Thank you, Kimberly. And then Diddy said, well said, Miss Perry. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, Coach Erica is going to give us some more nuggets. So you guys, I mean, she has some things to share with you as well. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Don't have time for your promotional graphics, event flyers, logos? Check out Super Dope High Quality Done For You graphics. We will create 10 high quality graphics for you. Go to bit.ly/dope graphics one to purchase. This is for a super low price. Let's get to work and grow your business. All right, so we are back. So I have another question for you. So, what advice you will give to someone that wanted to start a podcast? What would be their first step?
That's a great question. So I would say it's not about looking for a microphone or any type of equipment or anything like that. I would say the first thing you should do before you start a podcast is to know, why do you want to start one? Like, what is the purpose? What's going to be the purpose of your show? And how is it going to stand out from the hundreds of thousands of podcasts that are out there? How are you going to set yourself apart and show up in a way that's authentic to you and also serving your audience? So I would say that would be the first thing I would say before you go out looking for microphones and fancy equipment and software and stuff, and even thinking about a podcast name. You need to know, like, what is the purpose of your show? Why does that matter to you? Because if you remember, if you were watching earlier when I mentioned that there was a point in time when I wanted to quit my podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but because my purpose and my mission was to serve women who I knew needed my message, I couldn't quit because I would be giving up on them. So that's my story. I would highly encourage you to be connected to the reason why you're starting a podcast and really be clear about that.
Like, be clear who you're serving. That's really, really great, because if someone just say, "Oh, I'm gonna start it," and they'll know that, they're gonna be quitting in the next minute. So thank you so much.
Yes.
They're gonna be like, "Yeah, this is too hard. I don't know.
It's
I
too
can't do this no more." Uh, I
for
mean, it's the
real.
truth. So yeah,
For
so
real.
really, it's really some basically what Coach Erica is saying is really really fixing the mindset first. The mindset when it comes to podcasting, like, what are you doing it for? What's the reason? What's your audience? What why are you doing it? Because when you do that, it kind of makes it clear for you to say, okay, now I'm ready. So it's really that mindset of, okay, this is what's going to take for me to do this. So how do I think about it? How do I view it? So that's really, really good.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
So, do you have anything that you can offer to help someone to get started in podcasting? People probably are like, "I'm ready." People, yeah, y'all ready? Y'all ready to get started? So, what can you share with us?
Oh, thank you so much. So I have a podcast masterclass coming up. It's called Podcasting 101 Masterclass that I'll be teaching live on April 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be an introduction to podcasting, hence the title Podcasting 101. And we're going to start from the beginning. Like, I'll take you through the process of brainstorming and writing down your vision and your mission and your purpose of the podcast. And then we'll get into some of the technical things, like the podcasting equipment, the microphones, like naming your podcast, some of the logistics, like the format of your show, how to produce it, all that stuff. So it's really a high level overview, but you will walk away with some of the meat and potatoes and foundational things that you need to start your podcast and to give you an idea of what it's like and to know whether or not it's for you. And if you're ready to start, you'll be able to start, you'll have a good foundation to start your podcast after this masterclass.
Okay, are y'all ready to start your podcast? I actually took one of Erica's classes, so I got some tools that y'all got. So y'all better get up on it. So her class is bit.ly/podclass 101. Go ahead and put that in the comments um, for me,
Yeah.
Erica, so they will have that link because if you're interested in podcasting, you ever thought about podcasting, you like, I just don't know how to get started. This is the success coach for you. She will help you to get started. So definitely check that out.
Thank you, Shakima. That's nice of you.
Oh, absolutely. It's the truth. We got Kimberly saying, I will be there, Erica. Okay.
Oh, yay, Kim. Woohoo. I can't wait.
And
It's
then
time. She needs a
awesome.
podcast. I feel
So,
like there's so many women who need, not need, but would be excellent podcasters, you included. We already talked about this, Shakima.
mhm,
But, like, and you have a powerful message.
mhm.
And with podcasting, I'm just trying to get the link, make sure I wrote it down right. With podcasting, you can reach so many people with your messaging and what you have to say. I think it's a powerful tool to really put your voice out there and your message out there and to increase your visibility and all those things.
Right, right. And I'm working on it. By the end of this year, my podcast gonna be up and running
I know it
because
is.
of success coach Erica. So she because of her. So go to bit.ly/podclass 101. If you're watching the replay, do not miss this class. It's what, April 19th? What's the time?
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm
All right.
teaching it live.
So
So if
she's teaching
you,
a live class. You
yeah,
can ask questions. You get to pick her brain.
yep,
So go to this link, bit.ly/podclass. I can't even say it. I'm trying to say it. I'm about to say podcast.
I know.
Podclass 101. So you can get started with your extraordinary, boisterous podcast. Okay, because this particular tool will give you a voice that we talked about earlier about negative change, right? It's like you lose your voice. You're going to have a voice that you can speak to your audience, who you're looking for. It could be women, it could be men, it could be children, whatever. However, I don't know if children listen to podcasts, but I'm just saying it could be anybody. So you want to have a voice and you ready to have that voice. And I know that when I start, it's going to give me more of a voice because people are a lot of people. I mean, can you just share a little bit what is your like biggest audience like you ever saw on a podcast? Uh,
On one episode,
like
meaning
one
like how many
yeah,
downloads
so
or
it's what was like the biggest thing you like? Oh my god, because you can see the views.
well, so you go into your statistics, and I think the most, I never looked at individual podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
but like I usually have a few thousand viewers each, not viewers,
You thousand
uh,
views.
not views. I meant to say listens or whatever, downloads. Downloads is what it's called.
Listen, let me tell you, I'm about to get my podcast on. Whoa, what is that? No,
Yeah,
but
because the thing is what you're doing is already a podcast. We talked about this behind the scenes. All you have to do is turn it into putting it on a platform where it's hosted and distributed to different channels. But with podcasting, I don't think people understand the power of it. Like you can have listeners all over the world and people that places you've been technically because your voice is there and you become an international speaker. I mean, there's so many ways that podcasting can change your life and your business. But for me, you mentioned it a few minutes ago, Shakima, is that it gave me a voice. It helped me to increase my confidence. It got me out of my comfort zone. Like I'm really well, I'm still an introvert. I'm an introvert, and so I really don't like to talk that much. But
you there? Okay.
can you hear me still?
I can hear you. It's like it looks like it's paused a little bit.
Okay. So I've had guests on my show who I would never have met in, like, had I not had a podcast. One of my mentors, Amy Porterfield, was a guest a couple years ago, and I met her at a big conference, a big podcasting conference that I was speaking at in California. Podcast, what is it called? Podcast Movement. So I was a
Mm.
speaker there, and I waited for Amy because I was like, I don't care. I'm going to talk to her, and I'm just going to ask her if she'll be on my show. And she was so sweet. Now, mind you, Amy Porterfield is a seven-figure
Wow.
marketing. Like, she's huge. If you look her up, her
Wow.
podcast is called Online Marketing Made Easy, and she's like, seven figures is a billionaire, right? Yeah.
Mm.
So, and just like gaining the confidence to be like, will you be on my show, was something I would have never done if I didn't have a podcast. Like, having a podcast puts you in places and spaces and people's faces that you'd never probably be in. So if you're looking to grow personally, then a podcast is definitely for you, because it's going to help you with that personal development, your confidence, networking with people, speaking up, being more assertive, all those things. And then, most importantly, it's allowed me to stand in my purpose, because I know that the things that I've been through weren't just for me, and it wasn't punishment. I know that God took me through a bad divorce and made me a teen mom, and all these things that I've been through, being able to buy a home as a single mother, and all the things that I've gone through, not for me, but for someone else.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I agree.
it's not like I'm not unique in that I'm the only person who's experienced it, but everyone's not willing to share their story. Everyone's not willing to put their business out there in an effort to help someone else. And so I know that I'm standing in my purpose, and that my podcast allows me. It's a tool for me to it's a vessel basically for me to get to those people, those women who need the message that I share.
Absolutely. And also, a lot of times, God knows who connects to who. Like, you can have two women that have the same exact story, but some people connect to one woman, other one connect. It's like, it's because of the personality. Like,
Mhm.
some people like probably think I'm too loud. Like, Shakima is just too loud. She's extra. I can't deal. And I'm just being serious. They're like, I can't deal. She too extra. And you got the people like, oh, I love Shakima. She crazy like me. You know what I'm saying? So the personality is what the connection is. You can have the same exact story, but people connect with that personality. Connect the fact that you're transparent, connect the fact that you share, and you're personable, you're down to earth, and that's what it is. When it comes to transparency, it allows you to be down to earth. Some people be in Mars. I'm like, where are you? Get out of Mars. Like, seriously. Like, people act like, oh, I don't have no flaws, and I made seven figures with no issues. I'm like, you're lying.
Right.
Tell me about your beginning. Tell me about when you suffered and you about to go crazy. Tell me about that. I want to know.
Exactly, because we can all relate to that.
Right. So it's like, and that's why I like to be transparent. And I'm just like, I'm gonna be me, and that's that. So you got Kimberly said, "Yep, she is doing it already." Talking about Erica. Diddy said, "So true, Erica." Kimberly said, "Yes," and Kimberly said, "Don't change." Thank you so much.
But
Thank
you
you.
know what? Can I just add one thing? I know we're wrapping up on time,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
but you said something just now that I really wanted to circle back to, was about the part of like being who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, at first, I doubted the fact, like, why would I even want a radio show? Why would I want to be on a podcast if I'm an introvert and I'd rather just be reading a book or writing something?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so why? And sometimes we do that because we put ourselves in these boxes where, like, well, this is who I am, I can't do that. When
Mm-hmm.
actually you can do that, right? So if I would allow my negative self chatter and the self talk that I was having about me being shy and quiet and all those things
Mm-hmm.
hold me back, then what about those women who were like on the verge of losing their identity or lost their identity and didn't know how to get it back because I was too afraid to share my story? And I will say this as well, that in the beginning, I was super nervous about sharing my story because I am a very personal person. If you know me, you know that I don't put my business like that out on social media. I'm not really one of those people. You're gonna see a whole bunch of pictures of me doing stuff
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes. But I realized that in order for me to serve and to do the work that God wanted me to do, I had to step outside of my own self, of what I felt comfort in, and share the stuff that was ugly. Share the part about the cheating, share the part about being a teen mom, share the part about all the stuff that I had to go through to get where I am today. Because there's someone who's stuck right now in that
Right.
position, and there's someone who needs your message. And everyone who's listening, there's someone who needs your message. And maybe it's not a podcast for you. Maybe it's just that you need to talk about it more, like open up, not be afraid for judgment or be afraid to be called out or whatever it is. Like if we just lose the the idea of like, oh, they're going to judge me, or the fear of being judged, or the fear of being rejected, we could help so many other people. It's just a matter of using our voices and harnessing the power of our story and our voices and our experiencing and experiences, and realizing that the things we've gone through aren't necessarily for us, they're for someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to express yourself. I know that with me, I had moments like years ago that I was like, I ain't sharing that. I ain't sharing that. I ain't sharing that. Because a lot of times it's like embarrassing, or you feel like, oh, people are going to look at you differently. And it's not really about that. People want to know you're human. Like even when I
Mm-hmm.
wrote my book, I put some things in my book, my life story, put something in my book. My dad read it. He was like, "Oh, Shakina, I didn't know that about you." I was like, I was being real. He said, "Oh, he said you bold." I wouldn't put that about myself. I said because it's not about this pride thing. A lot of people have this pride issue and this egotistical issue, and I'm not saying my dad did. He probably do. But let me stop. No, but not, he's not on Facebook, so he don't know. But anyway, so it's like it's a pride thing. Sometimes people it's prideful. I don't want to share. I don't want nobody to know. And it's not about that. It's about really being down to earth because people can relate to you. You can impact more people when you're transparent. When you're
Mm-hmm.
not transparent, people are going to look at you like she or he on this high pedestal, and I can't reach them. You know, because my dad, he like my father's a pastor. He's a former pastor. He didn't preach about those things. He didn't talk about those things. So it's like he people would look upon him on this high pedestal, and it's like I could never reach that. So when I talk about my low moments, they were like, I can do that. I can do what Shaquem is doing. I can get there because she went through some things. I can get there because she went through some heartaches and pain. She cried like I did. I can get there because I thought she was able to just get it all together. I told you I'll be on the show like before. I was like, oh God, okay, yeah. I had a
Mm-hmm.
hard day. But I tell people on this show, I said, I don't want to talk to none of y'all. I'll be messing around. But, my audience know I love them. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't want to go on here. So you got to keep it real. And then it's fun for me. Like, I feel like being transparent is fun. I don't care how you look at me, how you view me. I'm gonna be Shakima at Stop Perry to the day that God takes me to heaven. Okay, I'm gonna be me because God wants me to be me. At one time, I used to pull that back, and God said, "I want to use your personality for your for my glory. I want to use you for my glory." So that's what it's about. Your personality comes with you. He just want to take some other things away, but He wants you to be you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's about. And I want y'all to check this class out. Okay, start your podcast. Stop playing games. Go to bit.ly/podclass 101. Okay, so check that class out. She did put it in the chat for you guys. I want to show something for y'all. Something for y'all. I don't know what I'm talking about. I want to show something. I want to show y'all guys something really quick. And we about to get off here. We've been on here 1 hour. So I told you it seems
It
like it's
goes
not.
fast.
It goes super
Yeah.
fast. So I want to show you guys something real quick. So today's the last day. Okay? That's it. It's over. Today's the last day to get my books, my two books, The Mind Regulator and Unlimited Faith for only $19.99. That is $10 a book. Come on. Y'all could do that. $10 a book, Unlimited Faith, The Mind Regulator. And then also, if you just wanted Unlimited Faith, it's only $11.99 for tonight only. This is for March. So today is the last day of March. Go to www.gleebargaincenters.com. Here's my book right here. So this is my book, The Mind Regulator. So this is my life story. I'm covering myself. This is my life story of how when I was 5 years old, I had a traumatic accident that cracked my skull, literally, and I dealt with a lot of mental issues. Y'all probably think I'm mental now, but I'm not no more. So, but let me stop.
You're
But
too funny.
anyway, it shows the old how I overcame my mental setback. It goes through the whole process of how I moved and everything. That is a powerful, powerful story. So get this book in your hands. And this book actually separately is $17. So 19.99 for two books, you might as well get both. So we got this book, and then my next book, this is my brand new book, Unlimited Faith. So this book gives you faith principles, okay? How to actually use your faith, how to utilize it. A lot of times people say, oh, I have faith, and not really have faith. I give you tools. I give you short stories. You have short stories in here of how I overcame by faith. Also, I have people in here. I got people in this book. I got my coach Shalina. I got other people here. I got Aim, my one of my church members. She's a good friend of mine. Amy, one of my closest friends. I mean, for 20 years. They have stories in this book on how they overcame by faith. There are power. There, this chapter is chapter 10, and it's a tearjerker. If you read it, you be crying. You be like, oh my God, that happened to them. Oh my God, how they overcome that? So they talk about their faith journey and how they overcame. So definitely get this book in your hand. You're gonna love it. It's a powerful, powerful book. So go to www.gleebargaincenters.com to get both of your books for $19.99 plus shipping. Okay, and the tax. I'm sorry, I can't pay for everything. You're taking all my money. So plus shipping and tax, and then, or if you want to get the unlimited faith only, $11.99, very super cheap. You pay probably less than $20 to get this book. All right, so check this out. All right,
I'm
so
getting mine.
all right, all right, all right. So we got here. So we got Erica's podcast class, bit.ly/podcast 101. So check that class out. Also, you can go to her website, www.momswithdreamsacademy.com. That's her school. So she has other things on there that you can purchase as well. And then if you want to listen to her podcast, go to her website. Go to www.ericablocker.com. Get it. Go there. Go there now. Go to her website. She has her podcast. You have your podcast recordings in there, right? On that website.
Yeah, my podcast is there. Yep.
Okay, so you get to listen to a podcast and see, you can listen to it and say, okay, let me see if I want to do this podcast and just listen to it. You're like, you know what? I think I could do it. I think I could do it. You may think you could do it. But go to that website, www.ericablocker.com, and check out her recorded podcast recordings. Okay, I think I'm saying that right. And also this last part, check out her class, bit.ly/podclass 101, April 19th, 7 p.m. So check that out. All right, check it out, check it out. And Diddy said, thank you, ladies. God bless you, Diddy. Thank you for joining tonight. So one more thing I want to share, and we're about to close this out. Thank you so much for tuning in. And can you do me a favor, guys, before y'all jump off? Share this broadcast. Thank you. Share it. You know people want to hear this. You already know. Stop playing games. You already know.
Funny. I also want to say while you're pulling that last thing up is that my podcast is everywhere you can listen to podcasts. It's also on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, where else? Amazon. Amazon has podcasts now. So anywhere you could find podcasts, you can find the Moms with Dream show.
Okay, so you can go anywhere to find her podcast. That's not only her website, but she did tell you where to go, guys. So thank you so much for that. And if you guys are interested in being one of my guests, I don't know, maybe y'all scared. Y'all may be scared of me. Don't be scared, okay? Go to purpose2promise@gmail.com. Email me. Let me know what you want to talk about. If it fits the show, you definitely be one of my guests. I would love to have you on. No problem, no problem. So go to my email, purpose2promise@gmail.com, and email me. Also, if you have any show topics, anything that you want to talk about, let me know. I'll be open to helping you to get a resolution, either myself or one of my wonderful guests that comes on here. And Kimberly said, have a great night. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Thank you so much. So before we go, do you have any last words you want to share with our audience tonight, Monica?
Yes, I just like to say, oh, here I go. Whatever it is that you feel you need to do, whatever's in your heart, listen to that and just go after it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes because we're all going to make mistakes and those are just lessons, right? It's just a way for us to learn, to grow, and become better. And I just encourage you to find your voice, whether it is a podcast or not. Find your voice, use your voice, and recognize the power that you have by sharing your message, your story, your experiences. And just remember that you already have everything within you need to create the life that you really love and want.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you so much, success coach Erica Blocker, for joining us tonight. We're super excited you decided to join us. This show was excellent. I enjoyed actually doing the show with you tonight. So you guys have a great night. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Share this live broadcast. And what we gonna do? What? Let's what? Face it. Have a awesome night.